Welcome back to the channel. Let's get into the wrestling news and rumors for this Wednesday, April 21st, 2021. First story we have here is CM Punk. We hit on CM Punk yesterday about Will Ospreay, and today CM Punk back in the wrestling news because he blasts awful WWE television, and if he goes back, he's just a guy. It's from What Culture Wrestling. CM Punk had an interview with Sports Illustrated Justin Barrasso that if he ever returned to WWE, he'd be just another guy. That's doing not good television. When asked if he'd ever consider returning to professional wrestling, the former voice of the Voiceless said that he isn't actively seeking a deal, but may consider the right option if it were to come along. I don't know. I've said no before in interviews. I'm not fishing for a deal. I get offered to do a lot of stuff. I say to no to 90% of it because my thing is I need to work with quality human beings. It just seems like maybe pro wrestling, is there a lack of quality human beings? I don't know. I like doing fun quality projects. If there is a fun quality wrestling project that gets sent my way, I will listen to it. I don't know. He seems kind of not so humble saying he says he gets that much stuff and says no to 90% of it. Who knows? All right. Punk obviously hasn't wrestled 2014 when he left WWE under a storm of controversy. It feels like barely a month passes without him being asked about the prospect of him returning. Yeah, obviously he typically keeps his card close to his chest, though it's a rare for him to slap a definitive no on a topic. If Punk does ever come back, it's safe to say WWE wouldn't be his first choice, as he slammed the company's awful television. I don't need the money. And the way the wrestling business is now, it's wacky. You've got WWE, who has multiple billion-dollar television deals, and the television's just awful. I go back there, I'm just another guy, and it's not even that. I'd be just another guy that's doing not good television. I want to do stuff that's good. I want my name attached to quality projects where it's fun and it makes people laugh, smile, think, and people don't hate watching it. I want to do fun stuff. Yeah. He's correct. WWE television is awful for the most part. SmackDown and Raw is terrible, other than Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief. So he probably would come back. I doubt he would come back and just be another guy not doing so great television, because he probably wouldn't come back as a full-timer anyways. He'd come in and get a big spot on the card, big spot on the show, maybe for a SummerSlam, for a WrestleMania, that type of stuff. So I wouldn't see him being just a full-time guy who's like, on the mid-card and just doing absolutely nothing, a la Jeff Hardy, guys like, stuff like that. So I don't see him being in that role. I'm pretty sure if WWE came, they back up the Brinks truck to bring him in because they know it's big money, and they'd bring him in for something more importantly than him just being on Monday Night Raws for 52 weeks out of the year and not doing much. So yeah, it really doesn't make much sense what he's saying here, but he's correct in his assessment that WWE television is pretty damn bad. All right, let's get to the next thing here. And we talked about Charlotte yesterday, about her being suspended off of Monday Night Raw on Monday night after attacking the referee. She's suspended and is fined $100,000. This is the reason why she was written off of television. I heard she was doing a movie, but it seems to not be the case. He says Charlotte Flair was written off of television for an indefinite suspension. They also fined her $100,000. She seems to be doing just fine on social media, but there was a reason why WWE took Flair off television. According to Alex McCarthy of Wrestling Daily, Charlotte Flair is missing some time because she needed to get some dental work sorted out. She isn't expected to miss much time. It's not out of the question for WWE might write Charlotte Flair back into the mix by WrestleMania Backlash, meaning expecting a Flair Rhea Ripley Asuka match for that pay-per-view. All right. So dental work, I don't think it's going to take her too long, so she may be gone a week or two. I definitely think she's going to be implemented into a triple threat at WrestleMania Backlash. Makes total sense. She's in the story, so why put her in the story if you're just going to get her out? You know what I'm saying? You could have suspended her a different way, or just not even brought her back in general, because it's not like it gonna boost your ratings that much, and make the show that much better. Not much can make Raw much better nowadays, but you'd have her come in, do this, get the little dental work. Maybe she hurt it in a match or something. Maybe she damaged it still doing something. So let her get that thing done. She'll be back in a couple weeks. WrestleMania Backlash, pretty much banking on a triple threat there. Next, we got some congratulations going around as Ronda Rousey is pregnant. She announces she's pregnant with her husband, Travis Brown. We haven't seen her since WrestleMania 35, and she's not coming back anytime soon. There was rumors that she may be come back in the eventual future. She's at least a year to two away from that. If she's pregnant, has the baby, within the first year, second year, maybe she'll be able to leave the baby at home and come and do some, part-time stuff, so we could see that going down. But I don't really see it happening, and I don't really see that going down that way. So we're going to be a long time without Ronda Rousey. So congratulations to her and her husband Travis Brown, but she's not going to be back in the ring for a very long time. All right, next thing on the news, we have Eric Bischoff talks about the Wednesday Night Wars being officially over. If there ever was a war, it's over now. So NXT moves to Tuesday night, so no more competition. Obviously, Eric Bischoff, former WCW head, 83 Weeks podcast, beat WWE for 83 weeks in the ratings. He would go on to say here on his podcast, it's great that WWE decided to move over to Tuesday nights, Bischoff said. They thought that was a better spot for them for whatever reason, but they made the move and it worked out for them. Obviously, it worked out for AEW. They delivered the second highest rating in the history of their show. You know that. They're up 1.2 million, which is fantastic by today's standards. 5 years ago, it would be a death sentence. It would have been a death sentence. He's true about that. Yeah, the way ratings have changed nowadays, it's amazing. By today's standards, that's damn good and good for them. It's growth. They're moving the needle. They're moving their audience. That's a great thing. The challenge is going to be maintaining that throughout the summer when people are busy playing softball, hanging with their buddies, taking their kids to Little League, doing whatever they do, which is not sitting in the house watching television, because that's what they're been doing all winter. He's correct on that assessment as well. How do they keep the audience going into the hot months of the year where everybody's vacationing? Also, how much do you siphon from Raw? Whoever watches Raw pushes 2 million almost every week. Can they siphon that and maybe start pushing and competing with Raw in terms of overall ratings? Should be pretty interesting. Bischoff also mentioned how WWE has been able to dominate every other wrestling company with their relationships and with advertisers. 2021 Hall of Famer said no company stands anywhere close to WWE and have for 30 years. Advertising for wrestling is much different today. Largely, I credit WWE for that. I don't think anybody has done a better job making professional wrestling programming as popular with advertisers as WWE. It's not even close. Nobody has. It's been a long-term effort, 30-year effort, and it's paying dividends. That is true. They have massive advertisement deals every pay-per-view, every Monday Night Raw, every SmackDown. Massive stuff. The massive TV deals. You can't compete with them whatsoever, but you know, they can make it a little bit interesting, AEW, if they can siphon again off that little tiny bit of viewership that lacks from Raw compared to AEW. If they can siphon some of that off, they can make a run and just make the ratings thing a little bit of a story, at least in terms of that. So keeping in the same vein, Triple H talks WWE's NXT move to Tuesday, shifting from imaginary war, which we all thought it was a war, we all thought it was going to be, but it really wasn't much of a war. Triple H on a recent episode of The Cheap Heat with Peter Rosenberg discussing WWE's NXT moves Tuesday nights. Before that, Triple H detailed his day-to-day schedule. Monday and Tuesdays in Orlando, prepping and working on NXT. Now, with that being on Tuesdays on USA, preparation for getting ready for production meeting on Mondays, Tuesdays, execution of the show. Wednesday, Thursday is the office pretty much all day, and then Fridays, fly down to do SmackDown with the team there. COVID created a different template of a scenario for us, kind of trying to divide and conquer just in case, never knowing when things were going to get bad or somebody was going to get sick. So we try to have multiple groups of people that could operate and get into different places depending on what was needed. We try to sort of stay away from each other as best as we could in case of emergency, but I'll be in Friday. They're in Tampa doing SmackDown, and everything else is 24/7 game. Really, this machine keeps rolling. Yeah, so then Triple H then talked about NXT's move to Tuesday nights and how it would be beneficial to the brand. He also addressed the end of the Wednesday night war with AEW. The promotional opportunity for us is much better on a Tuesday, and also then not having to have a narrative where it's just constantly about an imaginary war or this imaginary battle. People can say what they want, but the truth of the matter is you compete against everything, which is true. You compete against professional sports, other television programs, late night talk shows, late night news, stuff like that. If you're creating a television product or content, and that is the world we live in, is content, not television, not internet, it's everything. You're constantly competing for eyeballs and time against everything under the sun, including sleep and time to do other things in video games and TikTok and everything else out there. So having your own space where you don't have to then have an added imaginary battle stacked up against it is kind of nice. The bigger fact is having a lead in from a Tuesday into a Wednesday. When we first started, NXT was on Wednesdays for viewers of the network, to the transition to USA and wanting to keep that consistency for those that were watching the network, so they would know where to find it and not have to confusion with SmackDown leaving Tuesdays and people joining in and finding something else. Time has gone by now, and it's a great opportunity for us to have the lead in for Monday Night Raw, get that promotional window for Monday Night Raw, get to Tuesdays, and continue to deliver the product. Again, I'm thrilled with it. I think the opportunity is the same as it was before, which is for talent to get out there live and show everything they can do. And I'm a big believer that talent will shine through and they'll get the opportunity, and you'll make bigger and bigger stars as time goes by. It's about making stars and then having that opportunity, not just a number every single week. All right, so yeah, I mean, the war was never really actually a thing. I don't think they even see AEW as that much of a competition, to be honest with you. So they're moving nights, whatever. They just didn't want like the bad press that I guess it would get, like, oh, NXT is losing basically, even though it's not really war, but they were losing to AEW every single week. So they didn't want that narrative to be out there. So just move it nights. It doesn't matter. In the end, they have so much content on TV anyways, so many WWE programming, the network. So they don't really care what night goes where, to be honest with you. If they could, they'd move it to Thursday. Who cares? It doesn't really matter for them. They have so much content that they can just keep moving stuff around. Doesn't really matter to them whatsoever. So the war was never really a war. AEW is just a better well, not the better, but they were just the shiny bright object that people saw, the new object. So it's shiny bright toy. But now keep them separate. Both will flourish, both will prosper in that aspect, because again, Eric Bischoff said this before, they're both fighting for the same audience, right? So you're splitting an audience down the middle pretty much, or 3/4 of it, whatever. You're splitting it, and you're siphoning off each other. So it doesn't make much sense, to be honest with you. It's not the same climate as it was back in the Monday Night War time, so the ratings aren't the same. So it's not really that much. It's not really a big deal for them to switch nights. Next thing here we have, Damian Priest recalls Randy Orton's comments to Bad Bunny before WrestleMania. In an interview with The Zone, WWE's Damian Priest discusses WrestleMania 37 tag team partner. Priest lauded over the fact that the work that the rap superstar put into getting ready for the show, and how Priest was involved from the word go. We started working out because I trained with him from the get-go. Every time he was in the ring, I was with him. And others like Norman Smiley, Adam Pearce, Drew Gulak, and Brian Kendrick. Other hands helped in his training and getting him ready, but I was there the entire way, every single time. We got in the ring before Royal Rumble. I worked with him to get that crossbody. We all made sure that he was ready for every little step. He put in the work at the PC. He also put in the work before Raw. Sometimes we had to go to Tampa and put in work before SmackDown. We didn't have to be there, but he wanted to put in the extra time. He needed the extra time. So he'd say, hey, is there any way we can get in the ring? We had extra rings at the time. We were at Tropicana Field. He wanted to get in the ring, some ring time there. So let's go for 2 hours. Let's drive 2 hours to spend 2 hours and then drive 2 hours back. It was all worth it. He had no issue putting in the work. I knew he would surprise a lot of people because, though again, like you said, nobody expected it. Nobody knew. You hear that he's training. Anybody can train. That doesn't mean you're going to be any good. It doesn't mean that you're taking it to this fullest seriously. Priest continued to praise Bad Bunny, and Priest discussed Randy Orton approaching him before the show, the respect that he showed to business. There's been other celebrities and they trained, but they didn't train to the level he did mentally. He took this very prideful. He didn't want to embarrass himself, the company, his fans, our fans, me, and anybody else in the ring, because the first thing he was worried about was earning respect. He didn't want to disrespect anybody. He wanted to make sure that people didn't like him just because he was a celebrity here. He wanted to earn the respect of the boys and girls first and then go from there. I remember the Friday before Mania, Randy Orton going up to him and saying, hey man, I want to say thank you because nobody have ever seen anybody treat this business the way you have. So thank you for doing that and being so respectful to our stuff. Bad Bunny's a humble dude. He's quiet and shy. He was like, no, my pleasure. Thank you for accepting me. That's who he is. I was so happy that he got to deliver the way he did, shock everyone because he earned it. He really did the opportunity, earned the opportunity in that moment. Yeah, he did a tremendous job. Shout out to Bad Bunny for taking it so seriously. A lot of these guys come in, they just want to kind of just get a paycheck, or they want to just continue to build their brand, get more exposure, whatever the case may be. But he really enjoys wrestling, really respects it. He took it seriously, put all that work in, just like Damian Priest said. Bad Bunny, advantageous to the fact that he has the money where he can just move and live down there and do what he has to do. So it helped out. He didn't have no tour dates, anything like that. So he had the time to get it done. He got it done, and he outshined any other celebrity we've seen in professional wrestling to this point. So shout out to Bad Bunny for that. Let's get to the final story. We got Daniel Bryan says WrestleMania may have been assigned to stop wrestling full time. It's an interesting story here. Former WWE champion recently sat down with BT Sports to reflect on his WrestleMania 37 main event with Edge and Roman Reigns. Bryan admitted he felt detached before the match. He discussed whether he has watched the match back and what his detached feelings mean for his future. He said, I haven't watched it back yet, to be honest. I don't know if watching it back would really help figure out why I was so detached. I'm not a big believer in signs. Most people think of me like this hippie dippy kind of thing because I'm an environmentalist, but I'm really not. I really love science and reality-based things, but maybe it's a sign that it's time to let go of being a full-time wrestler, which is kind of what I've been thinking for a while. When I started training, Shawn Michaels said, the second you don't get nervous right before you go out, that's when you need to retire. And I don't necessarily believe that, because for a long time I haven't gotten nervous before I go out. I'm excited because it's fun, but the odd detachment was like, whoa, maybe it's either I'm gonna die or it's time. Maybe this is just a sign that isn't the same type of fulfilling that it was before. So it's interesting. I don't know. I just said I'm not hippy dippy, and I've been trying to mediate on it and talk to my friends that I'm close with, and hey, what is that? Be like, hey, what is that? Bryan later discussed WWE contract status. He talked about what he has to do, remain present for his 2 kids and maintain the excitement level that his kids expressed to him. So my contract's actually up relatively soon. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life. I'm going to be 40 soon with 2 kids. I've been on loan dad duty. Bree had a couple days with the girls. I was like, oh my gosh, Bree has this every week with 1 kid. I don't want to say it's easy, but throw in 2 kids and one of them being a baby, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm juggling all these things. There's that, and I love spending time with my kids, and sometimes I feel like being on the road every week. You leave, you come back. When you come back, you're tired. I didn't drink coffee before we had our daughter. I still hate the taste of it, but when I come home on a Saturday, I coffee up. She's super excited to see me, and I'm super excited to see her, but if I come and be like, sweet girl, I'm also excited to see you, daddy. Daddy's got take a nap. She'd be like, oh, he doesn't really seem that excited to see me. He just wants to go to sleep, and so I have to coffee up. I got this last week off of TV, and the difference in energies that I have for my kids is like, whoa, this is really nice, but I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm just trying to figure it out. So he says, I also read rumors that he said he didn't want to be in that match. He kind of tried to get himself out because the 2 guys had a great match, just them 2. He didn't have to be in it, right? Who knows how much truth is in that? I mean, he has part of creative, so maybe, I don't know. A lot of people say he may have booked himself into it, but whatever. He says he feels detached from it, whatever. He got the big spot on his second WrestleMania main event in his career, so you probably won't see much of him. They probably do the feud between him and Edge. It seems where it's going, and then he may ride off to the sunset after that and come back as a definitive part-timer. But there's a big story there for Daniel Bryan. That's the wrestling news and rumors for Wednesday, April 21st, 2021. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the subscribe button for it hits you back. Comment in the comment section below what was your favorite story and which one did you think was the most impactful story that I went over today. And remember, if it doesn't work for you, bro, do not do the job.